Hello, and welcome to Global Talk Show powered by Business Power Academy, Netherlands. And today we have an eminent personality from Canada, David Petro, and who is also my fellow Toastmaster, Black Walnut Toastmasters International, Ontario. Welcome, David, to our show.
Thank you, Supriya.
Well, before I take a lovely journey with David, let me apprise about David. Well, he is an assistant professor of information technology and business analysis to international students at Conestoga College in Kitchener, Ontario, a graduate of systems design engineering at University of Waterloo. And he has an experience of 30 years in software engineering, project manager, corporate director, and entrepreneur. David embraces lifelong learning in both professional and personal context. And he defines his success not by his personal achievements, but by the growth and accomplishments of those around him. So I am super excited to host David today. And David, once again, welcome. And let's go for this beautiful ride of your journey, knowing your incredible life journey from your mouth.
Well, thank you very much, Supriya. In preparing for this and kind of considering the context, I was worried that it would either be boring or a cautionary tale. So I've tried to identify some of the key things that shaped my life, and hopefully people are going to find it interesting. So I was born in Toronto, and I was born to a father who was an engineer and a mother who was a teacher. Now, my father was working for the Ministry of Highways in Ontario. And so normally that would mean that the family of that engineer would have to travel all over Ontario. And for people not familiar with Canada or Ontario, Ontario is huge. It takes 21 hours to drive from one end to the other. So I started off the first part of my life moving to 2 or 3 different cities, but I settled in Northern Ontario in a town called North Bay. And that's where I ended up living my entire youthful life. And there are a number of things about living in or growing up in Northern Ontario that really shape how you view the world. One is you're incredibly connected with nature. The populations are very small, and the forests are very vast. And so when you grow up in that environment, you have a very distinct sense of yourself relative to the vastness of nature. As well, you certainly grow up with a sense of being not better than everyone, but you can kind of overestimate how skillful you are, because in a small population, you can be the best at something without necessarily being very good at it. And so growing up, I was at the top of my class all the time. And so when I went to Southern Ontario to university, I went to the University of Waterloo, it was a real awakening. And I remember being really shocked at how bright the rest of the world was. And it was an excellent resetting of my self-esteem and my self-awareness. So then leaving Northern Ontario and then entering the university phase of my life, I attended University of Waterloo for 5 years. Now, I was in the systems engineering department or faculty. Now, for those of you who don't know what a systems design engineer is, the example I always give is in a building being constructed that requires an elevator. They'll bring in a systems design engineer to do an analysis of the building use and the traffic patterns. And so then the systems design engineer has strong modeling capabilities, and with those capabilities can then give specifications to the civil engineer regarding the strength of the beams in the elevator shaft, or dimensions and forces to the mechanical engineer, or algorithms to the electrical engineer who programs the elevator. So the systems design engineer has a holistic view of the world, because they have to make sure that everything works together. Now, in the area here where you see this diagram here, or this drawing, that of course is a part of Michelangelo's or Leonardo da Vinci's Vesuvian Man. And the Vesuvian Man is the symbol of systems design engineering. In its full form, there's a naked man, and in his arms and legs, there's a perfect circle. And the Vesuvian Man is come to represent the ideal balance between science and art. And I always relate this diagram to people when explaining what systems design engineering is. So after I graduated from systems design engineering, there was a professional orientation or training and certification program that I had to go through. Now, in Ontario, there's an organization called Professional Engineers Ontario. And in that certification, you have to work under an engineer and get a certain number of hours. Now, one thing that's unique about Canadian engineering is that engineers that achieve a professional designation are given a ring. I don't know whether you can see that. So it's an iron ring,
Great.
and you're
Great to see
supposed to
that.
wear it on your working hand. And it's a very interesting story about the derivation of that ring. Now, part of it is urban legend, but there's a core of truth to it. In that, in 1907, a bridge under construction in Quebec collapsed and killed over 10 people. And the investigation after that disaster revealed that there was an engineering failure of the bridge, and so the design and the engineer responsible for the error had to be accountable. Now, in response to that disaster, the engineering community decided that what we really needed to do to kind of emphasize the gravity and impact of our role in society was to create these rings. And we're supposed to wear them on our working hand, on our pinky. And apparently, and again, this is part of the urban legend, the original rings were made from the iron from that failed bridge. Now, there's a number of things that I really like about that story or that tradition within the engineering culture. One is, I can't imagine a symbol that brings humility more than actually wearing a visible symbol of a failure on your working hand, so that you have to look at it every day. But then in the context of it, it also talks about the privilege that is bestowed upon engineers, but even beyond engineers, anybody that's using technology or deploying technology in society, that we have an incredible responsibility for the appropriate use of technology. And even though I'm a software engineer, and I don't think anybody would trust me anywhere near designing a bridge, I still think that we carry that burden. And this ring represents a symbol of that, or is a symbol of that obligation. Now, I always joke in my class when I introduce myself and the course that we're studying at college. I teach international students who all have a technical degree, many of them already in engineering. So I relay a joke that was told to me when I was at engineering school. So there's only two things that you're supposed to learn in engineering. It's a 4-year program. You know, there's lots of courses, lots of things to learn. But ultimately, there's only two things that you need to learn. And so I'll ask the class when I'm introducing it, the course, and I'll say, what are those two things? And everybody's left scratching their head. Well, the two things are, first, you're an idiot. And if you don't learn that you are an idiot in 4 years, then you haven't worked hard enough.
Wow.
And it reminds me of my journey from Northern Ontario to Southern Ontario, where you really kind of get a self-awareness of your capability and your talents. And so in engineering, if at the end of 4 years, you don't have a sense of humility, then you've really failed. And then the second is that you're standing on the shoulders of giants. And in some ways, when I first heard that, I didn't understand the true context of it, or I didn't live it. But fundamentally, there are no new problems. Every problem that we encounter has, in some shape or form, been faced by people before us. And they've addressed it with their resources and their theories and their current conceptual understanding. Now it's up to us as engineers to research and find all of those analogs for this problem that we're facing right now, understand the solutions that were developed, understand the weaknesses, analyze the weaknesses, and then come up with a solution that's based on that historical context. And in that way, you're really respecting that second principle of standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, we are minuscule in terms of our cognitive ability or our intellectual understanding relative to all of those that have come before us.
Thank you.
So those are the two things that I learned not only through my formal engineering education, but also in my professional training as an
But
engineer.
David, I must say, when you were telling me your journey, for one thing, I was very happy that you have told what is a system engineering, what it is actually about is. Most of the people are in dilemma, they don't know what actually it is. And the way that men, which is on your virtual background about art and science, how do you explain to your students? That's really, really great and incredible. So thank you so much for your lovely and inspirational journey. And I'm sure people watching us live today must be getting a lot of golden nuggets from you, how to move forward, what to do, how to do that. And of course, your engineering and the ring one. That's really amazing. So thank you so much. Well,
Hmm.
David, when we talk about life and journey, it's not at all hidden from anyone that we haven't faced any challenges and a lot of hurdles. So, in your life, as you told, when you came to Ontario, when you joined university, or in course, what kind of challenges you faced in your life and how you have overcome? We would love to know that.
Sure, sure. Now, after my engineering, I became a partner in a business, and for 20 years, it was amazing. I woke up every day. I jumped out of bed. The technology that I helped develop was used for tracking waste and recycling within Canada. So 65% of Canada's solid waste was actually processed through the system that I helped develop. So when I was reading the newspaper in the mornings and seeing national recycling diversion rates, I knew that I was playing an active role in that. Now, there was a time in my career where I was faced with some significant health issues. And I was working probably 60 hours a week. And when I was faced with those health issues, I really kind of got a wake-up call regarding work-life balance. And at that time, I did the math and I realized that I was going to have to leave my company. And it was like chopping off my arm. It was, I can't explain how difficult it is to detach from something that you've built your entire identity around for 20 years. And in fact, whenever I meet an entrepreneur or a business person, I'm brought right back into that because it's everything they live and breathe and think. And so one of the challenges that I faced was trying to separate myself from, because my identity and the company were identical. And so the way that I was able to deal with that challenge was I went to a program called Landmark Education. And I can't say enough about it. It's an international program. In Canada, there's a education center in Toronto. But the underlying principle that landmark education teaches is that life is a story. And whether we're aware of it or not, we've created a story for ourselves. And if that story is serving us, then that is amazing. However, if that story is not serving us, then we have to recognize that it's just a fabrication of our own mind and that we are empowered to be able to change it. And so when I was going through this journey of reshaping my identity and understanding my place in the world, it was through this landmark education and understanding that life is a bunch of events. If you think of a chalkboard, just think of X's all over the chalkboard. And what our mind and brain do is they draw this line called a story that goes through all of those X's. And whether you were at a stoplight at the exact wrong time, or somebody in your family got sick, or you fell down the stairs, or you failed a test, all of those things get melded into a story. And once you realize that you can control it and create it, then the sky is the limit.
Wow, and I must say, David, listening to your challenges, how you have overcome, how you have seen, the best thing I really loved it, your perception towards your challenges, how you have taken it. And being a very optimistic person, I can sense the same optimism from you too, how you have taken your journey on, challenges, opportunities going on. And one more thing that really touched my heart when you said about health. And it's really, really true that your health is your wealth. So it's true. When you are happy, you are healthy, then only you can take care of your work or your professional life. So it's a great message to our lovely and lively audience. Take care of your health too. How David has overcome in the form of challenges and how he has overtaken and made himself reshape his life. It's a great, great inspiration for everyone today on this global talk show. So hats off to you, David, for how you have taken out your reshaping your life, transforming your life, and be the better version of yourself. So great, great, great. Well,
Hey,
David,
thank you.
and one more thing, question is coming up in your life when we talked about challenges, a lot of hurdles in your life. What was that aha moment or wow moment of your life when you were just saying, "Wow, I got it"? Is that something happened in your life? Would love to know.
Well, in many ways, I experience those almost every day. But certainly, I know in nature, whenever I am around things that are much bigger in scale than me, so the mountains, the Rocky Mountains in Canada, you have those aha moments. The Great Lakes in Ontario, whenever I'm around there, it really draws home the fact that we are tiny in this world, and that even though we might think that we're self-important and that what we do is so incredibly impactful, being around environments and in natural beauty allows you to contextualize it and be able to live your life in a really meaningful way, but not with too much pressure because of that context.
So it's not only like wow moment or aha moment comes in your life when you get or achieve. It's like when you are being with the nature, when you are watching mountains, rivers, lakes, that gets the
Mm-hmm.
aha moment and that stays for you forever in your memory. So this is really a great moment. David, I must appreciate your all wow aha moments. And we should also take some inspiration that your wow and aha moment should be associated with the nature too. So that's really, really great. Well, David, moving into this lovely and electrifying session, I must say, about your life journey. My next question coming to you is about your subjects which you teach, like information systems and business analysis. So, can you throw some light whatever subjects you take in your colleges and universities? And what is your
Sure.
teaching style? We would love to know from a professor what is the teaching style.
Um, yeah, I've been told I'm incredibly interactive when I'm teaching, but I think it's because I'm asking as many questions as the student. Certainly, as a professor within information technology and business analysis, there is a lot of content that has to be delivered. But my mandate really is to make sure that the people that finish the program are able to integrate culturally and professionally into the workplace. There's been a lot of coverage recently around how a lot of these programs, these college programs, are almost abusing uh, new Canadians or people trying to come into Canada uh, within the college system because their tuition is 2 or 3 times as high as the Canadian born students. And so often I'll start off a class, the first class, with a comment like, okay, raise your hand if you think this is an immigration scam. And about half of them raise their hand because
Great.
they've never really been given a context for the program. And so I identify how the college works closely with local industry to identify the skills gap between what we need and what we have, and then shapes these programs. But then also, there is not a very successful rate of integration because there is such a big culture gap. And so often in my classes, I'll try to distill the content and make it approachable from understanding the context, the cultural context. So just as an example, um, the difference between the use of the word doubt and question. So a lot of my students are from India, and they use doubt and question interchangeably. Whereas in North America, doubt refers to feelings, and question is related to fact. And so we talk about how actually one of my students related a story where um, she was working with her boss, who was also a software engineer, and this woman said, "I have a doubt about the program that you wrote," and the boss like exploded because doubt in North
Yeah.
America means that I don't have a good feeling about this code. And so the manager got quite upset. But this student actually just had a question about the algorithm used in the program. And so once they came to terms with the fact that doubt and question had different context, they were fine. But you can see if just 2 words can lead to a conflict, just imagine somebody coming into Canada and not knowing any of the idioms or any of the expectations or cultures or values that drive the work. And so I really view a lot of the stuff that I do at the college as being a cultural integration exercise with the help of, or at the same time, teaching a lot of technical skills around project management, around doing analysis of business processes and mapping it into technologies and technical solutions and things like that.
That's really great. And doubts and questions. So this is the new thing and enlightening thing for my viewers too. What is the basic difference? Most of the people get confused. Yeah, doubt and questions are the same. But today David has told, yes, it's a new difference and that we should not forget it. And so my viewers, along with me, very grateful to you for clearing my doubt and my question. Yes, and that's a really a great thing. Thank you so much, David, for this enlightening answer, doubt and questions. Well, in this course of life, when you are doing a fantastic job in your life, in your personal life, professional life, what is your mission? I mean, for your next 5 years, or generally, what's your mission towards your life?
Um, well, drawing back from the whole transition from leaving my company, I basically had an ego reset, and it was so enlightening, and it allowed me to look at the world in a completely different way and define success in a different way. And so now, when I'm working on technical projects or volunteering in an organization or working with my family, I'm my mother is on an Alzheimer's journey. She's about 6 or 7 years into it, and I'm the one of the primary caregivers. And all of those activities in my daily life are really focused around helping everybody that I touch to be as successful as possible. And I've found that it gives me an incredible sense of meaning. And at the end of the day, I feel like I've had a life well lived.
That's really positive and so optimistic to hear from you and helping others. David, it's very true. When you help any single person, you feel that happiness which is countless and that is immeasurable. It cannot be compete with any other happiness in the world. So I reciprocate the same, and it's your mission is really, really pious and it's great. So keep it up and make helping others, cherishing the life of others. That's really a great thing which you are doing. All right. Before I move to my last but not the least question, so I am planning to play some rapid fire round with David. So here I'll be asking, here I will be asking some set of questions, and trust me, that are very easy. So you'll be enjoying, and I hope my viewers too. And maybe one word or two word your answer should be. That is the rapid fire, and it should be a little bit fast. So are you ready?
Okay, let's
All
go.
right, let's set go. What's your favorite destination which you would like to go?
Banff, Alberta.
Wow. Your favorite lunch?
Stoop,
Oh, your favorite color?
blue,
Wow. So you're wearing the same thing. All right. Uh, your favorite coat? Any coat?
coat. I have a shell. That's good for all weather.
Lovely. If a guest arrived in your house unexpectedly, which dish you will be comfortable in cooking? Oh, that's difficult.
Uh, the stir fry.
Oh, that's great. Wow, David, you really played and you really given me the all the answers of my questions. So thank you so much for playing it brilliantly. And I do remember what a rapid fire round, how much pressure it is. It's very easy to play, but the player who is playing, it's really great. So hats off to you, David. Keep it up. All right. So, one last message. What would you like to give to your audience or live viewers who are watching you globally today? Message.
The message that I'd like to share with the audience is that you can do anything you want, and our opportunities are only limited by our imagination. The thing I mentioned before about creating your own story. Life is a blank slate every morning, and we are empowered to create as beautiful a story as we want. And that can lead us to incredible contentment and happiness.
Wow, that's a beautiful message which David has given us today on this global talk show. And I'm sure people are going to transform their life if they are going to watch this video of David Petro. What message, life, it's all depends in your hand. How do you craft your life? It's already a blank page every day. So fill the blank page with positivity, with optimism, and with lot of happiness. That's the message which we have got today. So thank you so much. Heartfelt thanks, David, for coming on our show and sparing a beautiful time with us today. Thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
And once again, thank you so much, my lovely audience, for motivating and inspiring us day by day. Stay happy, hale and hearty. Bye bye now.